There is one last way that you can use to set up links on your page, and that would be specifically to link to a marked place on the page itself. Now I've got a file to try this out. It's the SF Tours file down here, so let me just open this one up in the browser first of all and we'll take a look. Now we won't be using this page specifically for our project, but it is another way that we could format the content. As you'll notice, this is a very tall page. We've got all the San Francisco attractions listed on the page, and our users can scroll down to read about each one. Typically on a tall page like this, you might want to give your user some fast links to be able to get down to sections in the page without having to scroll down themselves. And we can do that by using the same anchor tag that we set up before. Now the first thing we need to do in a page like this is actually to set up markers that we can link to. So let's open up the page in our text application so we can edit it. As you can see, I've got all of my references here in a list, and we've got all of our paragraphs and headings down below. And as I said, we need to put a marker down on the page where we want to set a link to. So for an example, let's set up a link to the Chinatown paragraph. Now there are two ways to set up a marker. The first way is using the same anchor tag that we use to make a link. I'll place my cursor right above the Chinatown heading, and we'll start by adding an anchor tag. But this time, instead of an href attribute, I'll add a name attribute. We need an equal sign and quotes like normal, and I'm just going to use the name Chinatown. Now I'll close off that tag, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to enclose the heading in the anchor tag. So I'll go down below the heading, and I'll close off my anchor tag. Now the first thing we might want to look at is, does this do anything to our page? So let's just save our changes at this point, and we'll go back out and refresh the page. I can see the Chinatown header right here, and it doesn't look any different than it did before. Our named anchor tags aren't going to show up, and since we don't have an href attribute in there, it's not going to function as a link either. Now we're ready to actually go back and set up the link. I'll scroll back up to the top, and in the list I can see Chinatown. I'll just add my anchor tag there, and here I'll use the href like we did before. We need an equal sign and some quotes, and the first thing I'll add is the pound sign or the number sign. This is an indicator that the link is on this page, and I follow that with the name I used for the marker, which was Chinatown. I need to close quotes and close my start tag, and like before, I need to set up a close tag for the link. Now let's save our page once again, and we'll go back out and see how it looks. Now, first of all, you can see that I have my Chinatown link, and this time when I click the link, you can see that my page automatically scrolls down, and it does it right to the point where we put the marker. Now that's one way to set up our marker links. Let's try a different one. Let's try a second way for a Fisherman's Wharf link. I'll go back to my code page, and again we want to set up a marker location for where we want to link to. So I'm going to scroll down to the Fisherman's Wharf section, and this time instead of adding an anchor tag, we're going to use one of the new HTML5 attributes that's pretty much global for almost every tag in HTML, and that is the ID tag. I'll go down to the H2 tag, and I'm just going to add an attribute to it. It'll be ID equals, and then I simply give it a name. I'll use FW for this one. Now you notice I don't have to add any other tags or close anything. I'm just adding that attribute right into one of the tags that I want to use as a marker. Now let's go back up and set up the link. I'll go to the Fisherman's Wharf text in the list and add my anchor tag. href equals pound sign again, and this time it'll be FW. Close my quotes and my start tag, and finish off by closing my anchor tag. Let's save our changes, and we'll go back and refresh our page. And I'll scroll back up to the top, and you'll notice that Fisherman's Wharf is a link, and when I click it, it scrolls down just like the other one did. Now you notice it didn't scroll all the way up to the top, and that's because we've already reached the bottom of the page. But if we had a shorter page and we click the link again, you'll notice it'll go right to the location of that H2 tag. Now since we're not going to be using this page for our website, I won't bother finishing out the rest of the links, but I will add one more link that's typical on a page like this. First, let me scroll down to one of the links that we set up before. I'll take the Fisherman's Wharf link, And it's customary to add a convenience link back up to the top after you've let the user click to go down. So I'm just going to add a little text down here below the Fisherman's Wharf paragraph that says back to top. And let's enclose that in an anchor tag. I'll use an href equals quote, and I'll use #top. Now I haven't made that marker yet, so as soon as I add the end to my start tag and also add my end tag, I'm going to go right back up to the top and we'll add a marker up here in the h1 tag for the title. I'll use ID again, equals, and top, the name that we used down in our link below. Let's save that change and let's go back out and try it. Of course, I'll refresh my page. And we can see our back to the top link shows up. When I click it, we go right to the top of the page. So we now have links that allow us to go down to sections of the text and right back up to the top. And I'll just close up our browser in Windows so that we can work on our lab.